You are listening live to Playing the Odds NASCAR Style, an oval experience. Welcome back to the Odds Breakers, Playing the Odds NASCAR Style, an oval experience. I'm your host, Paul Napier, and you can connect with me on Twitter at NASCAR Style Odds. This episode is sponsored by 5dimes.eu. For a reduced juice bonus, please visit theoddsbreakers.com/5dimes and click on the banner to get better lines than the average sports books. This week, we have an excellent show for you with info you need to know before making picks for this week's race. This is episode 5 of the Oval Experience of 2020. Each week, we'll go into track facts, maybe some history, trends, and what to look for before placing bets for this week's upcoming race. Let's recap Auto Club, shall we? The racing at Auto Club was excellent. Tire wear was actually a thing again, and you saw guys coming and going through the field. Alex Bowman was the dominant car, leading 110 of 200 laps on his way to his first victory of 2020. The Chevys were once again relevant, with Kurt Busch, Elliott joining Bowman in the top 5. The Toyotas didn't start off that great on the weekend and qualified poorly. However, once the flag dropped, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, and Eric Jones all finished in the top 10 with fairly strong runs. The Fords had their typical showing at Fontana. Clint Bowyer sat on the pole, and once again, Ryan Blaney had a strong car, but not the finish to prove it. Keselowski, Harvick, and Almirola all finished with top 10s. Now, I know it's early, but this is an awesome stat that I have to share. Through 3 races, there have been 15 different drivers who have collected top 5s. Never in the modern era of NASCAR has this happened in the first 3 races. Parity is a thing right now, and it's showing from those top 5s and the top 10s in those first 3 weeks of racing. One last thing. Last week, we went 2-1, up 3 units. Again, nothing crazy, but I'm excited to be on the plus side through these first 3 weeks of racing, and to be 7-2 and up a total of 22 units overall. You know, this week, it's going to have its new set of unknowns, and I have been poring over stats and have some ideas to talk about. So let's move to Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix International Speedway is also known as IMS or PIR or whatever the hell they're calling it these days. You know, Phoenix Raceway announced in 2017 that a major reconfiguration would take place at the track. These changes included swapping the front and back stretches, changing the name of the track, and creating a new victory lane. This swap of the front and back stretches has produced some wild restarts. Remember, IMS has that huge dogleg down the front stretch, where drivers can dive well below the white line in an attempt to gain positions. But just make sure that you're off the flat and back onto the banking before you get to turn 1. See, there I go. I'm excited about this week's race, especially because of the new low downforce and smaller spoiler packages that will debut. Should lend itself to exciting restarts and passing in the corners. Watch out for this. This week's picks are going to be tricky because it's another unknown for these crews and drivers. However, just like any other time a change is to have taken place, we can look back at previous races and the strengths that those drivers and teams have when making picks. Speaking of, here's some drivers to watch this weekend. Of course, you can't talk Phoenix without mentioning the name of Kevin Harvick. The closer has won here 9 times in his Cup career, and an average of 9.18 in 34 Cup races here. Since the reconfiguration in 2018, Harvick has had an average finish of 5 with 1 win. Up next is Kyle Busch. Damn, why not just skip this guy and just say every week, watch out for the shrub? Well, I won't, but Kyle does have an average finish of 1.5. Jeez. In his last 4 with 2 wins. That's stout. Up next is Denny Hamlin. In his last 4 at IMS, Denny has an average finish of 5.75 with a win and 3 top 5s. Finally, I'm going to highlight Kyle Larson. Larson has an average finish of 7.75 in his last 4 with 2 top 5s and 3 top 10s. He is the highest averaging finishing Chevy in the last 4 here. On the flip side, guys to avoid or pick against. And this you have to kind of take with a grain of salt because some of these guys are on a tear starting the 2020 season, while others are just tore up. First up is last week's winner, Alex Bowman. The guy has been bad fast in the last 2 weeks, but since moving to Hendrick, Bowman has an average finish of 21.4 in 5 races, with 2 DNFs at IMS. Not sure how much to look at that, since that 88 bunch is so hot. Next is William Byron and Eric Jones. Both guys have an average finish of 15.5 in their last 4 races there. Both drivers do not have any DNFs in those races. They have just ran mid-pack and without much flash. Finally, both Chase Elliott and Chris Buescher have an average finish of 19.75 in their last 4 here. Elliott has had some really poor luck, while Buescher has just been really poor. Stay away from that 37 bunch. Elliott did have some really good runs here before the reconfig, but his luck has changed much like this track, a total flip-flop. So, with all that knowledge, let's look at this week's free pick. This week, I am looking at the matchup of Denny Hamlin at -145 versus Kevin Harvick at +105, courtesy of 5dimes.eu. Both are excellent at IMS and were featured in the Drivers to Watch for. Both have had a good start to the season. Harvick has 9 wins at the track, while Hamlin has just 2. Hamlin did win the last time the Cup Series visited here, in the desert, in November of 2019. A couple more things. Harvick is the only driver in the Cup Series in 2020 to have finished all 3 races in the top 10. Remember parity? That is another stat that points to that. It's now even more difficult to finish in the top 10. Finally, Hamlin has a really pissed off driver in Kyle Larson after him, after last week at Auto Club, where Hamlin ran the 42 in the wall and then proceeded to make a joke about it on social media. Let's just see how this all plays out. And because of those things, I'm taking that 4 car in a small 2-unit wager this week to finish ahead of that 11 bunch. One more thing before we jump off here. There's been a lot of talk about this next gen car this week, especially in regards to that 1 lug tire change that's coming in 2021. So my thing is what stock car has 1 lug? How stock is that? But how many cars today have a 15-inch tire? Not many. But they are going from a 15-inch tire that is currently ran to an 18-inch tire that will be able to hold those loads and forces and the speeds in the corners that now these Cup cars are making. And how about how long it's going to take to change a tire now? These pit stops are going to look way different. NASCAR says it's going to take about a half a second to take off a wheel and half a second to put that wheel back on with the one lug. So how long does it currently take to take off 5 lugs? Do my math. 2.5 seconds, right? Wrong. 0.8 of a second and to take a tire off, and 0.8 of a second to put those 5 lugs back on. So, for a pit stop to possibly be a half second or a little faster, I'll take it. And one final thing on this, it's got to be safer for the drivers, the crews, and just everybody. Want more info and free picks for this week's race? Visit playingtheoddsnascarstyle.com and click on the link for this week's race. Also, if you're looking for additional info, visit me at playingtheoddsnascarstyle.com and become a free picks and news info subscriber. Questions about this week's race are welcome. Thank you for subscribing, downloading, and listening to Playing the Odds NASCAR Style. Until next week, keep researching, keep winning, and have fun.